morning, everyone. Welcome to Toad TV. I'm Mary Beth.
I'm Helen.
We are the creative hands and minds behind Toad Hollow, where we dye yarn and make bags and read lots and lots of books. And this is a book review for Where the Crawdads Sing. We apologize if there's any heavy chewing sounds in the background. We gave the dogs soup bones, and hopefully they will not disturb us.
Right.
Okay. We have been talking about this book for a very long time because we read it last year and loved it, and we kept meaning to film a video about it, and
Just never did.
it didn't happen. So here we go.
Yeah, so I finished in June. I know exactly when I finished. But
And I think I finished a little bit ahead of you.
Yeah.
Not sure when.
yeah, probably a month or so ahead of me.
But
So-
we both loved it.
And from that point forward, hands down, my favorite book of the year.
Yes.
I thought the Erin Morgenstern might overtake it, but it did not. Once I started reading that, I knew the Crawdad was safe.
The Crawdad was safe. So this is all about Where the Crawdads Sing by Delia Owens. This is going to be a spoiler review. We'll give you fair warning before we go
Yeah.
into it, but we will be talking about the entire book.
And I know that sometimes people think, oh, okay, well, I'll watch it. And if you intend on reading the book, I strongly suggest go read it, because part of the experience of the book is the spoilers.
Right.
So it's the strong spoilers. So
Okay, now if we were really good booktubers, we'd have a copy of the book to hold up and show you. However, we gave it to my mother.
I was going to say, it's such a good book, we have handed it off several times. So
Right. We have two dogs, Spike and Drusilla.
Drew
One
is
of them is
drinking.
drinking right now. I apologize.
the water
Okay.
bowl was stupidly stashed behind me. Sorry, honey.
Okay,
Anyway, okay,
here
so
we
to
go.
the book.
To the book. Where the Crawdads Sing. This is a story of the marsh gull. It takes place in the marshes of North Carolina. There is the marsh girl who is Kaya Clark. Her family are marsh rats, and they live in the marshes on the outskirts of the community. She has really very, very little interaction with the town. Her family abandons her over time, and she is raising herself in the marsh. There are two boys that become interested in her. Tate, who is a friend of her brother's, and Chase Andrews, who is the star football player.
The town's golden boy.
Right. There is a parallel story that's told. Her growing up is the early 1950s. Then there is a parallel story that is told in alternate chapters that is taking place in 1969, where two boys find Chase Andrews' body dead in the marsh. And it's a murder mystery, and they're trying to figure out who killed him, and they pin it on the marsh girl, and it all ties in around who killed the
Chase,
town's
yeah.
golden boy. The descriptions of the marsh and the birds and the animals that live there, I thought were
She
absolutely amazing.
Yeah, the author is. This is her first fiction
Right.
work. She's normally a nature writer, and you can tell from it.
Because she just loves.
I mean, I have several. Did I pick up the right book? Yes. Okay.
Okay.
I have several quotes that I took down. I mean, one is autumn leaves don't fall, they fly. They take their time and wander on this their only chance to their only chance to soar.
It's just,
Yeah.
it's really, really amazing.
Yeah.
She writes about a girl whose mother walked out on her when she was 5 or 6. She walked down the driveway and never looked back. And then over the next 3 or 4 years, the rest of her siblings, she had 2 older brothers and 2 older sisters. They left. Her father was drunk, abusive, and the older brothers and sisters were quite a bit older, and they just saw no reason to stay, so they left. And I thought one of the most heartbreaking things about it was she never understood why they didn't take her.
Yeah.
And I couldn't understand that either.
No,
It's just-
I couldn't. It was just, and I think it's just a way of life and different upbringings. But
Right.
okay.
just leaving her there in her father's hands. Okay, children.
But then she realizes that ultimately her father will probably also leave her.
Okay, we have had several temper tantrums and ducks
Squeaky
flying through the
toys.
air.
So
All right.
anyway, as I was saying, she ultimately realizes that her father's going to leave her as well. So before he does, she learns how to read him and get on his good side, and have him teach her how to use the boat and how to survive in the marsh, because ultimately she knows she will be on her own.
And by the time she's 10, she's completely on her own.
Yeah.
And I read a couple of reviews where people just couldn't buy into that. And to me, it's a work of fiction. So that even though I cannot imagine myself doing it,
Right.
I did not grow up in this thing, but I can imagine somebody else doing it. I
Yeah.
can buy into the story of it. And
Well, I buy into things.
Right.
I'm less of a literal,
oh my God, yes.
and I just,
Completely.
if the story has grabbed me and I'm not going to pull it apart. Sometimes I will pull it apart at the end and it's like, oh, okay. As I leave a story, it's like, oh, okay, well, that didn't really work and that didn't really work.
Right.
But ultimately, I really enjoyed the book, and that'll be like a 3 or 4 star for me. Whereas this was 5 stars all the way, because there's nothing that I really can be like, well, that really didn't work. She makes it work.
Yes, I totally
Yeah.
bought into everything. So by the time she's 10, she's living by herself, and she is she knows how to live off the land
She tried school.
for a day.
They were horrible to her, because the truant officer did ultimately come find her. But then she realized that she didn't want to go to school, so she figured out how to run away from the truant officer.
Right.
Because she knew where to go, where nobody would go in to get her.
And one of the quotes is, "The marsh became her mother," and she knows the marsh so well
Yeah.
that she can disappear into it and nobody can find her.
And she can outlast you.
Yes.
You know, you can sit out there in front of the house thinking, ultimately, she's got to come back home. Well, no, she doesn't.
Because she knows how to live
Yeah.
there. And that was
She's
one of the things.
truly a child of nature.
I thought that was so fascinating.
Yeah.
Was that they could sit there and wait for her, and she can outlast
Yeah.
you. You know,
Yeah.
I loved that. I also loved. I wrote down about she would feed the gulls every day, and watch them eat the food and hope that they would not fly away and abandon her too. And I thought that was just so
Heartbreaking.
heartbreaking. It was so sad, but the marsh didn't
Yeah.
abandon her.
And there are so many things about loneliness in this book.
Yes.
And I suppose, okay, we're going to put up the spoiler thing.
Spoiler.
So go away. Because now we're going to start talking about bits of the book. There.
Right.
But she, I mean, as far as loneliness is concerned, there are quotes about how, you know, she learned to laugh at Chase's jokes even though she didn't find them funny, because that would keep him there.
Right.
And she learned how to just, you know, I think there was something about how she had to give up another piece of herself to keep someone there.
Right.
So that the loneliness, I think, was the most heart-wrenching part of the whole thing.
Yeah. Oh, yes.
And that when Tate came and taught her to read,
Well, I love
and
the way
opened that world for her.
they brought Tate into it, because Tate was a friend of her brother's, her next up brother. So he was just a few years older than she was. But he knew enough about her. He didn't come at her full on. He treated her like a wild animal.
Yeah.
Where, like a creature of nature, he would leave her little gifts that would get her interested.
And
you know,
trusting, yeah.
And trusting and intrigued by him and want to know more about him. And it's kind of like when you're trying to lure an animal that does not trust you at all,
Yeah.
because it has no reason to trust you. You leave it little bits of food and a little bit more, and then you might be there when the food is there, and they get to see you and know you, and that
don't
kind
move,
of thing.
You just sit there.
Right, and I thought that was so interesting the way he left her little things that he knew would be a part of her and she would want to know more about.
Yeah.
I loved that.
I never made the connection of the wild, that he was treating her like a wild animal. It was, I made the connection that he was trying to get her to trust him, but
Right.
with the whole connection, wild animal thing.
Because that is, by that point, she had been on her own for 4 years in the marsh, pretty much, other than Jumpin' and Mabel, who...
And didn't trust anybody.
Right.
And I don't even think at that point she had met Mabel.
I think she had, because at 14, she'd gotten her period by then, I think.
Okay. Okay.
Anyway, Jumpin' is, with her boat, she needed gas. And Jumpin' had the gas station. Jumpin' and Mabel were a black couple that lived in, do you remember what it was called? They had a name for it.
No, but
It was
the marshes.
right.
I mean, he was the gas station for the boats in the marsh.
And he would, he got talking to her, and I think he recognized in her innate intelligence.
Yeah.
And he would help her out. And then his wife came into the picture because he didn't know what to do with some things about her, that, you know, being a girl, and Mabel did. She knew exactly what to do. And
But she learned, she never wanted him to give her
right.
the gas. She never asked for it. She went and asked him what she would need to bring him to barter for the gas.
Right.
So then she learned how to do the clams and you assume that he took 2 clams and gave her, 50 clams worth of gas. But
Right.
He never, he realized that she wanted to be able to make her own way. And then he became her confidant, and so that when she needed something, she knew she needed to talk to Mabel.
Right. And I love the fact that he trusted her to survive.
Yeah.
He didn't try and capture her or bring her to, live with them or anything like that. He recognized in her that she needed to be free, and that he let her be herself.
Yeah. And again, the wild animal.
Yeah.
So.
I loved that.
Yeah.
I really did. And then Tate, when he taught her to read and write.
And open that, and it just opened the world for her.
Right.
Just as long as you can read, you can learn anything.
And you can do anything.
And
so
you'd bring her the school books and just.
Yeah, no, I thought it was fantastic.
Yeah.
I really did. I loved that. Did not love the part with Chase as much. I knew from the very beginning that was just not good.
No.
Just because they were so different, he was never going to accept her as who she was.
No, she was a thing to him.
Right.
And
She was a token.
Yeah.
Something to
I got
capture.
the marsh girl.
That's it exactly. He never wanted anything more than that.
And then it was a distraction.
Yeah.
From his life that
It was
his
like
parents
his,
had put it in front of him.
His way of rebelling.
Yeah.
I'm going to go visit the marsh girl.
Right. Okay, so real spoilers.
Real spoilers. Okay.
Did you figure it out?
No. No, I did not.
Drew's in a bad mood.
Spike was trying to take her dog. Okay. Spoilers. Big spoilers.
Yeah. I did not think that she had killed him. I went with the story that she did not have enough world savvy.
Oh my goodness.
God, it's been a while since we had to say hi to Paige.
That was rude.
To figure it all out. The timing and the tides and the
Right.
I need to be here to make them think that I didn't do it.
Right. I knew that she was smart enough to do it. I just didn't think that she was...
And savvy enough to make sure she was on that bus so
Right.
that people would see her. I mean, it was very premeditated.
Yes, it was. And I love that it all tied back to nature.
With the fireflies.
Right.
Yeah.
That it was all tied in with the bugs and the creatures of the marsh. She watched them and figured out how to do it by watching nature.
Yeah, I have. I put the quote: "Female insects," Kaya thought, know how to, how to deal with their lovers.
Yeah.
Because the fireflies would call in their mates, and they would mate, but then they would change their signal to call in the non-species so that they could eat them. And the praying mantis eats their mate. So
It's kind of frightening.
it is, but it's just kind of, and also, she wasn't going to let him take it from her.
No.
And she knew he would come back because, like her father, she knew just from what she learned from her father that he would come back and take what he wanted.
Right.
And she was not going to let that happen.
And
look, I just love that woman.
I know, she was so strong. But I thought that Tate and Jumpin had done it.
When they moved to, she got out, and then the chapter started, or I think a chapter ended with the sheriff getting on the boat and taking Tate away. And I'm like, oh, no, Tate, no.
Right.
But it turned out it was because of his father. And then I figured that I did think that the collective had done it for her.
Okay, yeah.
Tate and Jumpin' and possibly Mabel. They needed to protect her. And that's the way I thought until he found all the stuff after she died.
No, I never had any clue.
Yeah. And I never got that she was the poet.
Oh, that one hit me. Because I have a tendency to glaze over things that really don't interest me that much. And the little poems, I read a couple of them, but then after that, I kind of glazed through them. So then I went back and read them and realized that they're really very important.
Oh, yeah, no, and I was actually reading them today because I was doing a refresher today, and I was reading up quotes and rereading some of the poems, and I thought, okay, well, and B, that maybe I shouldn't gloss over poetry. Maybe I should give it a chance.
Right.
Because I am exactly the same way. It's just like my brain's like, oh, no. Just no. I can't figure this out. But I have Amanda into Hamilton equals Kaya. And I also love that when she explains to Tate where the Crawdads sing means, because her mother used to tell her, go play out where the Crawdads sing. And it means it's just way out yonder where the critters are still wild, still behaving like critters, which is
Exactly
who she was.
Yeah.
So,
I thought the language of this book was so beautiful.
Yeah.
And I was a little worried because sometimes I'm not that into reading Southern books. But this one, man, it pulled me in.
Oh, absolutely. And even going back 6 months, because it's been 6 months and I was going back this morning, I thought, gotta read this book again. Because just reading the quotes and
I think we might want to listen to it because a lot of people were leaving reviews saying how good the narrator was. So that it might be good to listen to it just because it gives you it comes at you from a different aspect. Right. So that's good. And also...
but there's a definite, and I don't normally read this way, I read for plot and characters. So I'm not generally one that reads for the writing
atmosphere.
style or that kind of thing, but going back today and reading it, it's just like, okay, there is a lyrical quality to this writing. It's just beautiful.
It really is.
Cannot recommend it enough.
Yeah, 2 5 stars from us.
Yeah.
We really, really
And
loved
I was
it.
reading the lower stars today on Goodreads. I don't think you read the same book I read.
Well, I think there are some people that read these books and they have to believe it. And
Or-
they can't go outside the box.
Right. And I mean, some of them I was reading and I'm like, okay, you obviously didn't either finish the book or you just gave it a quick gloss over and you're knowing that you were going to write a bad review. Because there are people out there. That's what they do. So.
Yeah, no, we both loved it very, very much. So that is our review of Where the Crawdads Sing. Hopefully we will be getting more of these reviews up because we both have been reading lots of books and we want to talk about them.
Yeah.
We enjoy talking about them. Let us know what your thoughts are.
Yes, and just, because
Certain books.
the last quote of the book,
Can I hold this up?
or the last quote that I wrote down, was because the great blue heron figures into this. So a great blue heron is the color of gray mist reflecting in the blue water. So for our really special books, we dye yarn to go with it, and that is where the Crawdads sing, which has been, if you've been following us, you know this because we've had it out for a while, but this is the shawl I made in it.
So this is where
It's a
the
truly
Crawdads
special
sing.
book because it got yarn.
Yes, you know it's a really, really good one when we dye yarn to go with it. Okay, thank you so much for taking part in this. As I said, leave your thoughts down below. Let us know. Have you read it? And did you like it as much as we did, or are you one of the ones that...
And if you didn't, don't feel free to leave why you didn't like it. I'm always open to see. I'm interested to see why people don't like something that I like as much. Because it gives a different perspective. As just as long as it's not a hater to be a hater.
Right, because we never expect everybody to feel exactly the same way we do about books or anything. So that, but there are some people who just went into it saying it's got so many 5-star reviews, I am going to write it a 1-star review because their review made no sense whatsoever. So, okay.
All right, so.
Have a lovely day, everybody.
Yes.
And we will see you hopefully tomorrow for our regular podcast.
Yeah.